Hello, class. Today I'm going to talk about Anna Castillo's book that I read. It was called So Far from God. Uh, the book was pretty good. I do admit it lagged at times. It was kind of hard to get back into it, but at other times I didn't want to put it down. I thought it was pretty incredible. The main the primary aspect that I wanted to cover for the book was the aspects of a matriarchal structure within So Far from God. Um, the book does a kind of a flipping of the patriarchy, and especially for like a Chicana, so it's pretty powerful aspects of it. But the book starts out in the town of Tome or Tome, Tome, and right off the bat, Ana Castillo introduces the fact that the father is not there in this family that's happening, and uh, the family consists of Sophia and her four daughters, and the father's not there. So right off the bat, like the story takes place in a matriarchal structure. You know, the woman, which is Sophia, the mother, is the authoritative figure. She is the one with power, and that's kind of how it's introduced. And then the youngest daughter, La Loca, she's only like a small little toddler. You know what I mean? She's super little when the book starts, so she doesn't even remember her father or anything. So pretty much all she knows is the authority of and hierarchy of women. Um, but you know, Ana Castillo, she doesn't waste time at all. Like she just goes straight into it, and she has Sophia has to face the fact that La Loca dies, and it's like dramatic, and she's just like, why, you know, she's like super screwed up about her daughter dying, and it's pretty emotional when you're reading the book. You just kind of having to face that, and it's not an easy thing to do because you know she's just a baby, you know what I mean? So it's I wouldn't classify this as a horror, but it's pretty horrific. But you know, this book is kind of like a magical realism. So La Loca, she comes back, and you know, like the town thinks that you know they're just like tripping out because she's still alive, and she kind of comes in conflict with the priest or whatever, like the religious figurehead of the town, and these to these people, like you know, that's like a religion is pretty much the power structure and hierarchy. So you know, the little girl, like she floats, you know, to the top of this building, and the preacher or the priest or whatever, he's trying to tell her like, you know, come inside and pray. She's saying that she was La Loca, which is this little girl. You know, she's saying like that she's been to heaven, she's been to hell, she's been to purgatory, she's spoken with God, and then you know the priest pretty mindful. I mean, she just literally came from back from the grave, so he's like, yeah, you know, even if that's true, you know, you should come down from there and come inside, and we'll all pray for you. And she replies like, no, I spoken with God, like I'll pray for you. So at that moment, what Ana Castillo does, who's the author, is she's kind of establishing the reversal of the patriarchy. You know, the father, which is the priest, is pretty much like the power structure. You know what I mean? He's at the top, but right then off the bat, you kind of run off the bat. But at this point, La Loca, she flips it. You know, the town looks to her for spiritual guidance. She literally spoke with God. You know what I mean? She also has like these magical realism powers, like the not powers, but like abilities, and so she's like seen as like this spiritual leader, and you know that's kind of a big theme. You know what I mean? Like the reversal of that structure, and I think that kind of sets the pace for it because it kind of shows you in this way. And then the next character that I wanted to talk about was Faye. She's one of the sisters too, but she's kind of the exact opposite of La Loca. Like she has these desires to to have like what she considers like a normal family, like a traditional family. And she's kind of the way I took it from the book. I mean, obviously I could be wrong, but I mean I was looking for these because we did the proposal and stuff, so I was really looking for aspects of feminism and patriarchy. So I could be wrong, but to me it felt like she was eternalizing her patriarchy, and that's how Anna Castillo wanted to portray her and depict her. So she's kind of she wants to have this traditional family. She wants to have this and then she even leaves her town. But the book kind of depicts her throughout the book as kind of being misguided. The sisters don't, you know what I mean? They're not here with her. They kind of feel like she's like almost. I don't want to use strong language, like she's betraying them, but it does kind of portray that aspect of it. And she wants to go out and be married, and she ends up getting this job. And I think it was called, off the top of my head, I think it was called Acme. It might not be Acme, but I read it as Acme because it looked like that. And she ends up like starting down like a low level, and she just works her way up, and she becomes into like a managerial level. She's doing pretty good for herself. She has a pretty good paying job, but she's literally working day and night. And she says one of the lines, what does she say? Like you'll live. That's one of the things she says. Like I'm working really hard, but I'll live. And it kind of shows that reversal. And she ends up going through that, and she ends up dying because of a chemical poisoning. And then the other sisters, just to make this short, I didn't know it was 6 minutes already. My paper was pretty long, and all the stuff in the book's pretty long. But to kind of wrap this up, like the other sisters had dealt with like sexual and physical abuse by men, and one of the sisters ended up having finally finds happiness, but she finds it in another woman. So the book depicts her as being happy because it's not with a man or whatever. And then like a man still comes out. He's like this stalker dude, and they kind of have like this interaction. And then they ended up the two ladies end up like deciding to kill themselves instead of dealing with that. And then Sophia starts this organization called Mamas, MOMAS, and it's like for like mothers of saints and martyrs. The book deals with a lot of like magical realism and stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like the whole book, and then that was in that aspect. The Mamas, the organization, was pretty much a matriarchal structure. That kind of excluded men from that. And so basically, what the book is showing, and then Sophia also becomes like a mayor, like an unofficial mayor of the town, and she makes a lot of like social changes and stuff. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that the entire book is matriarchy from the immediate family, with the mother, with Sophia being in charge. The town ends up having Sophia in charge. Spiritual and religious guidance, La Loca's in charge. And then it kind of shows those aspects, and then the only time where one of them kind of like gets away from that, she's the only one, without getting too much detail, she's the only one that doesn't come back in spirit form, because she was the only one that didn't want to stay within that matriarchal structure. And overall, the book was fantastic. I thought it was great. I highly recommend it, and it's a really good read. A lot of the aspects, what I'm saying, I don't think you would pick up immediately unless you're really looking for it, or if you had prior knowledge. And other than that, it doesn't really beat the message down over your face, but you can really see it when you're looking for it. It was a great book. I'm definitely going to read it again. I thought it was that good. I really thought some of the stuff was pretty wacky. It might not be as good another time reading it, because when you first read it, like a lot of the stuff that happens is super surprising. So like, a lot of the things that they go through, you're just shocked that it's happening. You just don't expect the twists and turns to go along, and that made it really interesting. So what I probably would do is wait a few years before I read it again, just because that experience was really cool. And other than that, thank you. And I don't know if I'm supposed to have a question for the class, but if I have a question for the class, what did you think about Anna Castillo's work? I mean, we did read Black Dove, and thank you. Have a good night.